We're good to go. All right, welcome everyone. This is another live Q&A to help voters prepare for the upcoming primary this coming June 25th. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Megan Keegan. I serve on the Albany Common Council representing the 9th Ward. I am not explicitly endorsing in the 109th Assembly race, and what I have offered instead is to sit down with each of the candidates for a question and answer session so that voters have an opportunity to get to know the candidates and go into the primary with the most information they possibly can have. Tonight, we're sitting down with Dustin Reidy, one of my colleagues on the Albany County Legislature, or partners in government on the Albany County Legislature. And so without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to Dustin and give him an opportunity to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about why he is running for the Assembly.
Hey, thank you, Megan. Good evening, everyone who is watching on Facebook Live or will be watching later. I truly appreciate taking the time and giving me the chance to speak to you, talk a little bit about myself, what I've done, what I plan on doing if given the opportunity to serve in the New York State Assembly. My name is Dustin Reidy. I'm a county legislator, campaign manager for Paul Tonko, and running for the 109th Assembly District. I grew up in Scotia, New York, had parents that went to community college and told myself and my brothers to study hard, listen to your teachers, and follow your dreams. I had the opportunity to do just that. I went to public schools at Scotia Glenville School Systems, having a great family, incredible public school teachers. I was allowed every opportunity in the world. I went to Skidmore College, got my bachelor's degree in history and political science. Always thought I would go to grad school and be a professor someday, but I ended up graduating at the start of a recession, and just through a temp job, fell into working in healthcare administration, first at Ellis Hospital and then Albany Medical Center for a private vascular surgery group, did ultrasound for a little bit, and it was through working in healthcare that really drove me to get more involved in politics. You know, I saw every day patients get world-class healthcare from surgeons, great nurses, great staff. But more often than not, I worked with patients that were more worried about paying for their healthcare than very serious surgeries and long recovery processes. And I also worked in a non-unionized labor force and worked alongside nurses and staff that put their heart and soul into taking care of patients and struggled to make ends meet themselves. I ended up helping found an all-volunteer campaign to help elect Barack Obama president called Albany for Obama back in 2007. We opened an office up right off of Central Ave in Lexington, and went to grad school for a year. But I fell in love with talking to voters, working with volunteers, showing volunteers how to speak to voters, and found having the ability to make an impact on the issues that I cared about to be incredibly rewarding. So I left grad school, went into advocacy and campaign management, and I have been working in that since 2009. I've been fortunate enough to work for great organizations like Planned Parenthood, SEIU. I'm a former CWA member, worked for the Change to Win project, which is a union federation, worked for progressive pro-labor candidates here locally and at the state level in New York. And in 2015, got married. Was looking to get out of campaign politics, and then Donald Trump got elected. And like everyone around me, looked to find what I could do to change the narrative and fight Republicans. Ended up founding an organization called New York 19 Votes, which worked with activists up here through the 19th Congressional and surrounding it to help elect Antonio Delgado to Congress. A county leg seat opened up locally here in my neighborhood, the next year, and I decided to make an impact locally. Ran and won a very tough primary. It wasn't the endorsed candidate, but I won my county ledge primary. I'm now serving in my second term in the county legislature, where I've been proud to introduce bills fighting climate change and working to reduce gun violence. And since 2019, I've been aboard Congressman Tonko's team as his campaign manager, and had the opportunity to work hand in hand with one of our very best public servants, both working within the entire 109th Assembly District, and learning how to represent everyone with energy, integrity, and strong democratic values. That's what I plan on doing in the Assembly. That's what I've done to deliver for the district as a county legislator, and hope to earn your support and vote on primary day or on June 25th, or if you're voting early on June 15th. That's a little bit about me. And with that, I look forward to answering your first question, Megan. And I will say, and we've talked about this before, I know you are not explicitly endorsing any candidates. I'm hoping to win the explicit support of the voters. I'm still working to win your implicit endorsement, Megan. So be working on that this evening.
Well, thank you for that. And I apologize for my dogs. Hopefully we have some dog lovers out there who are very understanding about the fact that sometimes they disrupt Zoom calls when you're not muted. So my first question for you this evening, I mean, we have been very blessed to have such an exemplary and savvy advocate, Assembly Member Pat Fahey, who is moving up to the Senate. She's leaving some really big shoes to fill here in the Assembly. With her departure, there are a number of bills and everything from climate change to consumer protections, gun control, that will essentially die in committee with this session and her departure. And while I'm certain that she's going to continue to advocate on those issues in the Senate, we'll still need somebody in the Assembly to continue this work. If elected, what specific bill, if any, do you plan to take up in the Assembly? And as a follow-up, is there anything that you would not champion in her absence?
Well, thanks for the question, Megan. And I get a very similar question when I'm knocking on doors, talking to voters across the district. Usually, folks will phrase the question as, what's the difference between you and Pat Fahey? And I'll start with the big differences first between Assemblymember Fahey and myself, and that is I will not be riding my bicycle between events, especially not on a warm summer's night like tonight. So you won't catch me doing that. But Pat is leaving very big shoes to fill. She's been an incredible assembly member. She'll make a great state senator. I plan on backing her up in the state senate if given the opportunity, and helping focus on a lot of the legislation and a lot of the policies she's put a lot of work into. Reimagining the 780, 787, opening up and reimagining the Harriman campus. You mentioned gun violence prevention, Megan. I know it's an issue Pat has done a lot of work on and cares about. It's an issue that I've been proud to deliver results on for the district. As I mentioned, I passed 3 different pieces of legislation on gun violence prevention. I plan to work on that in the Assembly. I'm proud to have the endorsement of Every Town for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action. But there's a couple important pieces of legislation that I plan on supporting. There's legislation that would codify and expand the reach of SNUG, which has been a proven effective, an effective organization working here in the city of Albany, working to pass the School Anti-Violence Education Act, also working with schools on notification for unsafe storage policies. Climate change is an issue that I think is incredibly important to all of us. We had a forum held by the League of Conservation Voters on Thursday afternoon. It's a great forum. If you haven't caught it, I hope folks go to WANC, all environmental questions. But look, on the stuff Pat is working on, the New York Heat Act is critical. It's critical to helping us transition to renewable energy. It's critical to reducing energy bills. And for everyone who saw this week, the National Grid wants to raise rates again. I think everyone knows how important it is, especially for our residents on fixed incomes like our seniors, or lower income individuals and families, to give them all the help they can on paying their bills and their energy bills. I know Pat's putting a lot of work into carrying that across the finish line this legislative session. If it doesn't make it there, it'll be a top priority of mine to get that passed next year. Also want to work with Pat and Congressman Tonko as well. It's another big issue for him, building out our EV infrastructure, reducing our carbon footprint. I know it's been a tough year for the offshore wind projects in general in New York State. I still plan on advocating to bring that offshore wind project into the Port of Albany, which would be a game changer for both fighting climate change and building new union jobs here. You know, I love Pat's work on the right to repair bill that she passed last year. I know there's still some work to be done to expand it, I think, to the level she wanted it at. I plan on picking that up if she's picking that back up in the Senate, and plan to follow Pat's work when it comes to higher education, but especially working with our labor unions. You know, I'm a pro-labor legislator. I'm very proud to be endorsed by 7 unions in this primary. And I want to make sure we're working with our MAP program in downtown Albany, working with our labor unions. So on the higher education side, our high school students have every pathway available to them, not just to go on to earn a 4-year degree, but every other pathway to following their dreams and achieving success. So I think there's a lot of work that Pat's doing that I would love to help, that I would love to focus on in the Assembly and back her up in the state Senate. Those are a couple issues that I plan on focusing on, and a couple of different priorities within them. But again, I will not ride my bicycle on hot days between events. I think it's better for everyone. But you know, if anyone goes to Assembly members member page, I mean, the list of bills that she's a prime sponsor on, a co-sponsor on, and you add in the bills she's supporting, it is a very big portfolio. But again, you know, I would be following, given the opportunity to serve in an incredibly effective Assembly member.
Thank you for that. For my next question, the city of Albany is really uniquely challenged with regard to its revenue and aid and incentives to municipalities or AIM funding. With more than 62% of our land tax exempt, these financial burdens fall squarely on our city residents and businesses, both in terms of school taxes and city taxes. With the newly drawn Assembly district lines, the burden for advocacy for the city of Albany to receive its fair share of state aid falls squarely on whoever will represent us in the 109th. As the New York State budget is known to be decided ultimately by the governor and leadership in the Assembly and Senate, maintaining a working relationship with leadership is often pivotal to meeting Albany's needs. How will you form and develop key relationships to ensure that Albany continues to get its fair share of funding?
Well, the fact is, capital city funding needs to be made permanent. It needs to be made equitable. The city of Albany, as you know, as you mentioned, has unique challenges and needs, and whoever represents it in the Assembly has to be advocating until we make the capital city funding permanent. That's what I plan on doing. And I think your question, you know, it really gets to the heart of why this election is important, why it's important that the city of Albany, but the entire district, including New Scotland and Guilderland, have an effective representative in the Assembly. And as a freshman member in the Assembly, whoever does get elected will be working within a 100-person Democratic supermajority. And it really is key that we have an Assembly member that can build coalitions, leverage relationships, build relationships, know how to work with colleagues, stand up for principles, and stand up for their constituents to deliver for them. And I bring a strong network and relationships already in hand if I'm elected to the Assembly. I've worked with elected officials from the local, state, and federal level within the entirety of the district. Working with Congressman Tonko certainly gives me a good purview on the federal side. And I have a track record of building coalitions. The Albany for Obama campaign and the New York 19 Votes project, those were coalitions I helped build from the ground up. When you look at New York 19 Votes, the 19th congressional district, it's 11 counties, the capital district. You know, I helped bring together county and town Democratic committees, elected officials from every side, activists, both remotely and in person, bringing them all together to help replace and repeal John Faso and elect Antonio Delgado. And one thing that's very noteworthy about the 19th Congressional is that in 2018, it was the only rural majority congressional district that flipped red to blue. That wasn't an accident. So I have a track record of being able to build coalitions, and I've had a very strong coalition in this assembly campaign. As I mentioned, I'm endorsed by 7 unions. I'm the only candidate endorsed by elected officials from across the entirety of the district, from Wanda Willingham in North Albany, to my colleague Vicky Plotsky in New Scotland, to Gustavo Santos, Amanda Beadle, and Christina Piersky from the Guilderland Town Board. I think the support that I have out there, it just shows the coalitions I've already built, and if elected to the Assembly, I'll be able to leverage the 15 years of relationships that I've built and the knowledge to build coalitions fresh to the constituents here in the Assembly District. And on behalf of the city of Albany, and in terms of representing the city, getting capital city funding made permanent will be my highest priority.
Okay, thank you for that. For my next question, this really gets into the heart of diversity, equity, and inclusion, particularly when it comes to representation. A diverse point of view and perspective on key issues is important and integral to good policy creation, whether it is professional experience and expertise on a certain subject matter or lived experience that allows a person to fully understand how policy decisions will impact citizens. Far too often, we have well-intentioned people who make decisions without fully understanding how a certain system works. The wrong levers get pulled, and it ends up falling short of what we promised to deliver. What do you bring to the table, whether it's your personal or professional life, that sets you apart from other candidates running for the 109th, that will allow you to bring much needed perspective to state government? And how will that translate to better policy for New York State?
Well, thanks for the question, Megan. And as I mentioned, I'm a public school product from Scotia, New York. The child of parents that were working class and worked themselves into the middle class, and gave me every opportunity to be successful and follow my own dreams. I've been working for over 15 years now on trying to make sure everyone has the same opportunity to succeed, fighting to get us a universal healthcare and more affordable and accessible healthcare in between that. And I've worked through the entirety of the 109th district. And so being a former healthcare worker, struggling to make ends meet myself, working in healthcare, and working for a number of years where I didn't have healthcare through my job and was in the healthcare marketplace. Certainly have some perspective on the ins and outs and the bad ins and outs of our healthcare system. But I think for me, what's important about our next representative for the 109th district, and we'll give them the full ability to advocate for everyone here, it comes down to energetic and active representation. In my mind, the best representative is out in the community constantly. They go everywhere. They work to listen to and bring every voice to the table, so we can identify the challenges together and find their solutions. Then it's your representative's job to go to the Capitol, advocate for the right resources to improve lives in the district, move the right legislation forward, or engineer the new legislation needed to improve the lives of everyone they represent. I've had the best mentor when it comes to active representation in Paul Tonko. And I will say, working for him for 5 years, I have kept up with Congressman Tonko, which is no small feat in of itself. But I've had the opportunity to work within the entirety of the district, and I believe in that model of representation. In my capacity as a county legislator, I represent a portion of Guilderland, but I think I've been actively engaged with every community in this district in 109. I think it was last weekend. Megan, I know I saw you at the Ruby Hughes block party, which just held by the Trinity Alliance, and it's just a great block party for the community down there. And the fact is, when you show up at events like that, it really matters for people. It really counts. And in terms of being a good representative, those are the things that you have to do. You never know who in your district is going to have a genius idea on how to make something better. And you never know who in your district is going to raise an issue that, that you and, no one else has seen, that's coming to the fore. So, what sets me apart, one thing I do very well in is in the active representation. And that will give me the ability to represent and advocate for every community and every individual here in the 109th Assembly District.
Thank you for that. So for my next question, and it's our second to last for the evening, we are often left waiting for state law to catch up to upstate. And what I mean by that is that the New York metro area controls a large share of votes, that they are easily able to leverage action and are easily able to leverage action for things that impact the metro area. In some cases, those things would be beneficial statewide, such as enhanced protections for public workers, speed cameras in school zones, commuter taxes, etc. Our representatives have often voted in favor of these bills without necessarily leveraging or asking why just this area, why not the whole state. How can you leverage your relationships to ensure that beneficial legislation isn't just enacted for New York City?
Well, look, again, I think I'm led the ability with the relationships I have and the support I have from our unions to bring that to the Assembly. I do have relationships with elected officials and folks across New York State. I think my ability to build coalitions and leverage the ones that I have will give me a unique ability to make sure that that upstate is not being forgotten about by our friends and leadership downstate. But again, I think this question just again goes back to having an Assembly member that can build relationships, be congenial with their colleagues, and I will say that I'm not looking to be a representative that is chasing the headlines or chasing applause on Twitter. I'm looking to get the substance of issues and help deliver for folks. I think that's the model that both Assemblymember Fahey, Senator Breslin, and Congressman Tonko have followed. And I think, again, we're very fortunate to have some very effective members represent us here in the 109th Assembly District. And I think if you look at all those members in the state and federal elected offices, I think they do follow that model of build relationships, build coalitions, make sure they're engaged with their constituents so they know they're bringing their voices to the table when they represent them. And I think if you can do that and succeed at that, which I believe I have done, I think that's how you leverage upstate and make sure it doesn't get forgotten about. And I do think as well that Democrats here in this district do want to take a solid step forward on policy instead of jumping 10 feet ahead. And there are some things that we passed in the legislature where I do think we've done that. And elected to the Assembly, I'll work with the upstate members, especially hopefully John McDonald. But I do think Democrats in this district, I think we recognize the need to take a critical look at on the public safety side of bail reform and raise the age and make adjustments there for better public safety. I plan on doing that if given the opportunity to serve by the voters in the Assembly next year.
Thank you. And so for our sort of wrap up this evening, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there something that I haven't asked you about, something that you think is critically important for voters to know about you that we didn't touch on this evening? the floor is sort of open to you for however or whatever you need to say or communicate to my constituents.
Well, I'll say again, I truly appreciate folks taking the time to listen and watch. You can go to reidyforassembly.com. Please send me any questions, concerns that you have. I hope to see everyone out on their doors between now and Election Day on June 25th for early voting. But Megan, thank you again for giving me the opportunity. Thanks for doing this series. And I'm just surprised. I have a little puppy, Ivy, that she likes to say hello very loudly to everything that walks by the house. And I've never had a half hour in the evening where she hasn't barked at least a couple times. Um, so just I'll thank my puppy Ivy for not interrupting. But no, I appreciate the consideration that everyone's taking. Hope to earn your votes. But most importantly, please make sure you do get out and vote. The June primary change, I think folks are still adjusting to it, and your assembly member can make a very big impact. So I hope I do earn your vote, but please just get out there and vote and bring your Democratic friends and family to vote too.
And again, early voting starts June 15th and runs through June 23rd. Primary day is June 25th. And we have no excuse, vote by mail, early voting for the primary. If you need information on that, please send me a message. Also, if you didn't get my newsletter, I have links to all of the candidates contained in there. I'm happy to forward it to you. Thank you, everyone who joined in this evening, and for those of you who are watching later. And thank you, Dustin. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and meet with us. I know you're super busy right now, so it means a lot. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.